Media Dodger, Media Dodger. He doesn't perform a dodge, which makes his name exceptionally odd. But he treks through the great and bad. It's 50-50, he's so rad. Good times and bad are had. But that's what he gets for being, and don't forget, the Media Dodger, the Media Dodger, the Media Dodger, the Media Dodger.
According to all known laws of the internet, the Media Dodger should not be able to play video games. His temper is too short to get any form of relief off the ground. The Dodger, of course, plays anyway, because the Dodger doesn't care what the internet thinks is impossible.
Does anyone remember Bee Movie? Yeah, apparently it got adapted into a video game. You ever wonder how it was possible for a movie's plot to get adapted into a video game? You wouldn't believe how many of those types of examples exist in the 2000s, and the fact that this is one of them. Now, if you thought that was going to be the only bee pun in this episode, you would be very disappointed. Any chances of that happening are next to nothing. Okay, but for real, I'll stop just to give a brief overview.
Bee Movie was released in 2007 by DreamWorks Animation and was written and produced by Jerry Seinfeld, best known for his TV show, which is of course named after him. Seinfeld also starred as the voice of Barry B. Benson, a honeybee fresh out of college who leaves the hive for the first time and interacts with the human world. He befriends a florist named Vanessa, played by Renee Zellweger, and is shocked to learn that the humans gather honey from bees to sell for the public's consumption. You can't really say this is one of DreamWorks' best films, though it did garner a following of sorts on social media. The internet has made tons of memes. People shared the entire screenplay, they edited the entire movie in many ways, or even just the trailer, and they even take note of a particular throwaway line. But when you really look at this movie, the idea was to speak on the important role that bees play not just in society, but on the planet itself.
And the video game is apparently one of those games based on a movie to have been released in conjunction with the movie for no other purpose than as an advertisement for the movie. Well, if that's the way it's gonna be, I may as well start combing this movie for any negative qualities. And no, these puns are not gonna freaking stop!
The first thing you see when you boot the game up is obviously the logos. We got DreamWorks, Activision, Beenox. Okay, for a B-movie game, they got a company called Beenox to have some work done on it, though I bet it was just coincidence. Just to start off, once you're past the opening cutscenes, the first thing you do is walk up to this car and start driving. You just have to wonder, why do bees need cars if they can just fly? I know the movie explains that flying can be exhausting, but the hive's not even that big. But anyway, just make your way to Honex. You watch another cutscene before you gotta play a minigame. Here, what you gotta do is move this bucket around to catch the honey. Just avoid the bad honey. Or you can shoot it. Why even have me shoot at things? Just have me move the bucket around without the need for any extra bee crap.
Oh yeah, and by the way, this whole honey industry is just very unrealistic. No, you wanna know how honey is really made? Do you wanna know? It's bee crap.
Once you're done with that, you're given a guest flight pass so you can stop by the flight pass agency, which basically acts as the story mode. It starts off much like the movie. Barry leaves the hive with a group of pollen jocks, and first, it's a matter of positioning yourself according to the arrows to avoid taking damage. Then there comes times when you have to aim the cursor to click on the targets, and also shake the Wii Remote nunchuck at this part to avoid getting swallowed by a frog. Next you gotta, be a bee. You collect pollen from flowers, and then spread that pollen to revive wilted flowers. The controls, to put it nicely, take quite a bit to get used to. It sounds simple. You hold the Z button to move forward, and use the control stick to turn yourself left or right, or higher or lower. I think where it especially gets me is when up and down are not in reverse. Like most flying games, up is down is up. Isn't that usually how it works? Not in this game. But that pollen gun isn't just for flowers, you also gotta use it to defend yourself. After some target practice with balloons, you gotta deal with a pack of dragonflies. Yeah, dragonflies. That's different. Let me just say, they're not easy to deal with, due in no small part to the controls. But then we have the environment hazards like spider webs, Venus flytraps, poisonous plants. You can use these to take out the enemies, but I hardly ever find myself using those. All I really need to do is shoot the dragonflies. I take them all out, and now we're at that scene in the movie where Vanessa and Ken play a game of tennis while Barry's just on the tennis ball. Just follow the arrow commands to avoid getting squashed, and click on the targets. But once that's done, for whatever reason, you go back to the hive. I thought I was in the story mode? Whatever, let's just get back out there. Your tennis ball leaves you in the rain, and as you ought to know, bees cannot fly in rain. It damages you, and eventually kills you. What you need to do in order to fly through the rain is to press the D-pad to activate your bee reflexes, which only lasts a little bit before it has to recharge. There's also these wind currents, which take you all over the place, and they also protect you from the rain. If you need to slowly refill your health meter, you gotta stay safe under shelter, usually under the awnings or under the humans' umbrellas. But there's a crappy catch to it. In order to be protected by the umbrella, it's not enough to just be floating underneath. You have to press the B button to lock on the human you want protection from. Okay. And what the heck kind of noises is Barry making when he takes damage? Sounds like he just got done taking a big dump of honey. What you need to do in this level is make it to Vanessa's apartment, which is much like the movie, but it's odd how it needed to be that specific apartment to get protected, since there's still the awnings Barry can be safe under, and besides, it was that visit, the apartment, where Barry first met Vanessa. Anyway, in order to get to the apartment, you gotta follow the mini-map to fly to these stars, which act as checkpoints. You make it to the apartment, and now you're stirring up the humans. In this one, you gotta clear out the guests, and watch out for that bumbling idiot Ken, who wants to squash you with his winter boots. Basically, you fight them by getting in their face and shaking the Wii Remote to buzz and getting out of the way when the prompt demands it. After each buzz, you're just clicking targets until a guest ends up smacking Ken in the face by accident. After that, Vanessa saves your life and helps you out of the apartment, just like the movie.
There you go, little guy.
You are cleared for landing.
Why is it with this game taking me back to the hive after I complete a mission?
Apparently, you'll only be able to unlock more of the story mode if you purchase a specific flight pass. The currency you use to purchase these flight passes is nectar. Yup, bees love their nectar, don't they? You earn nectar by completing these jobs. Let me tell you about the jobs in this game. There's the taxi service where you gotta pick up bees and drop them off at their destination. But again, why do bees even need a taxi service? Just fly where you want to go. There's also different mini-games at Honex, where you collect honey containers from the back of these trucks. You can even play that mini-game again, where you have to catch the good honey while avoiding the bad honey. Then there's the job where you gotta fill these buckets with honey. For arcade-style games, they're mindless, but playable. But I think one of the worst mini-games might be the Bee Speedway. It really stings. Basic enough, just drive over the green arrows to go faster, but the red ones make you go slower. There's 3 different circuits. First one is no problem, but the later 2 really demonstrate what kind of stupid controls you're dealing with for driving. This should have been one of the first things I talked about, but now is where it's starting to become a problem. Both accelerate and reverse are on the nunchuck. Z is accelerate, C is reverse. I sure hope you didn't mix the 2 letters up since they sound so similar when you put them in a sentence.
Okay, but let's just ask an honest question here. Both of these buttons are so close to each other on this weirdly shaped controller. How often are you going to be using your index and middle fingers at the same time? I can only speak from my own experiences, but I often find myself using my index finger a lot more often. I wouldn't really be using the middle finger that much, but if I start sucking any more at this driving than I already am, I'm gonna have to start using it. And not for the nunchuck either!
Anyway, just get enough points from the minigames, buy the passes, and play more of the story mode. For the most part, you're just doing the same thing. Pollinate flowers, take out some dragonflies, and the next minute you're defending the hive from wasps. Wow, way to shake up the gameplay. Then comes this part where you have to take out the wasp while it is raining. But what the heck? The wasps can fly in the rain? That's not fair! That means I'll be taking a ton of damage. Whatever, soon it finally plays out like the movie. This whole level was just a dream, of course, much like the dream in the movie, where we see Vanessa flying, but it cuts out the part where she crashes into a cliffside and freaking explodes. Yeah, that happened.
Oh, it was a dream, a horrible, horrible. yet strangely adolescent dream. What a nightmare.
Okay, but to elaborate on how the story is presented, the only context we really get to the events is in these cutscenes where Barry's being interviewed on TV. If you've seen the film already, you're not really going to need these cutscenes. But anyway, for the most part, it still seems to follow the movie. You duel with this guy, Stinger against Thumbtack, you fly through the streets of New York to follow the Honey Farms truck, and all throughout, the gameplay hasn't changed. Just follow the on-screen commands as closely as possible, and there you go. This isn't fun anymore. It's making me psychotic! Even though it's pretty clear you're mostly just repeating yourself with the gameplay, it does kind of try to introduce more elements. Like here, once you're at Honey Farms, you're gathering evidence by stopping at these specified marks and then snapping pictures of the abuse that bees go through just for the humans to get honey. Next, you're fighting wasps, and this is where the programming got real lazy. The top right corner of the screen indicates that you gotta kill 30 wasps, but is there really 30 wasps on the field? Any normal gamer wouldn't take that into account, but as I'm defending the hive from the wasps, I notice that immediately after I kill one, another one spawns right in the last one's spawning position.
Really? How hard is it to program spawning so that the gamer won't feel cheated out of a challenge?
Then for the boss fight, you get a new element. While he's spraying his smoker, you're moving left and right to avoid the smoke. That's about the only new element you get from this boss fight. After that, it just becomes the same repetitive crap again. But apparently, they do have some deviations from the film. Here, you're at a restaurant, gathering evidence of a conspiracy taking place in the honey industry. But what kind of evidence is this? It's just a crooked lawyer talking with someone, and it's photographs too. It's not actual video. Yes, I know that he's the villain of the movie, but if you want evidence, you're going to need actual evidence instead of just pictures. In the next level, you're flying to the lawyer's office, but it's raining again. The game's instructions are telling me something about the street light and how I can stop the cars, but I found out I can just ignore the street light, though mostly because I couldn't figure out how to lock onto it. Why stop the street light if I could just fly over everything? I make it to the office, and now you're making further investigations. Basically, while Vanessa's keeping the receptionist busy, Barry's dressed like a fly to avoid being recognized, and now you're looking for evidence of the lawyer's crooked methods. First, I turn on this machine, which I guess is meant to be a distraction for this guy. He walks up, and he's speaking gibberish, not sure what he's saying. The heck is going on? Where am I? Ugh. Now I gotta activate the machine again. You get the idea right there. Just distract the humans so you can pull up this information on their computer so you can snap a picture. For this guy, you just gotta get him to smack himself in the eye with a fly swatter and spill coffee on him. Once you got all the info, you gotta find this guy's vault because apparently the numbers in the photos you took are the access code to the vault. But as it turns out, this whole thing was a trap for these hornets to gang up on you. Yeah, just another horde mission. Kill them all and move on to the next event. And it's the bathroom fight with Ken straight from the movie.
Okay, can this game make up its mind? Is it going to follow the movie, or is it going to take a different approach? As bad as the Wreck-It Ralph game was, at least they knew what to do with the story. This one, it just doesn't know what it wants to be. Yeah, you thought I was done with the bee puns? Well, actually, I'm running out. My bee tank is nectar empty.
Just like with other parts of the game, they try to disguise the fact that you're doing the same thing by introducing a new element. First part of the battle is literally just a buzzing segment again, except this time you're pressing the A button instead of shaking the Wii remote. Also, when Ken attacks you, he looks so bored and he barely has any force behind his swings. Just as you thought the graphics were bad enough, and when he's spraying at you with the hairspray, look at his face. Did he smoke 20 marijuanas before this fight? Even the cutscene at the end of the fight is crap. Listen to this.
Ken, what are you doing?
Nothing.
You are in big trouble, mister.
It's supposed to be like the movie when Vanessa dumps Ken, but did you hear the way she said that last line in this game?
That sounded more playful and sarcastic than deadly serious about ending the relationship.
After that scene, we jump straight back to liberties being taken. Barry learns about a plan called Burst Spur, but apparently the info is under lock and key, and laser. The weird thing is, you don't get to play through any of these elements that take place in this location. Why even introduce the lasers anyway? Instead, it just skips past all that and Barry finds out what Burst Spur means after taking a taste of what looks and smells like honey, but actually tastes like Brussels sprouts. Apparently, the crooked lawyer wants to turn all the world's honey into this trickery.
Don Montgomery's gonna turn the entire world's supply of honey into that stuff. It looks like honey, feels like honey, smells like honey, tastes like Brussels sprouts.
Oh, the horror, the horror.
Why? Why would he do this? I mean, they explained that he'll corner the market with this stuff, but how the heck is that gonna work? Just because he got honey that tastes like Brussels sprouts? Who's gonna buy that? These guys are pawing my leg.
After learning this info, these hornets are apparently supposed to be attacking you, but they cut that part too. What is with them setting up these scenarios but not even letting you play them? Last level of the game. After you've corrupted the fake honey stockpile, and apparently this finale is after you've won the case against the honey industry, the crooked lawyer tries to spray you to death in the courtroom. In order to win this fight, you turn on the fans. Then you do the same crap as always. Click on targets. At this point, it's even more boring than it has been already. At the end, avoid his spray, buzz in his face, click on targets, and then you beat him. Final blow was a ceiling lamp dropping on him. How classic. Then as the credits roll, you're just flying through the park, reviving the wilted flowers and shooting targets. That's all, nothing special. And the credits go on forever. You can exit the credits at least. That way you don't have to deal with this game again.
So, in conclusion, is it a bad game? Well, it's definitely repetitive, boring, mindless. Tries to disguise its repetition by whatever means possible. Overall, it's just a cash grab as usual. Just promotional material. No other reason. I mean, really, can you think of any other reason for them to make a game like this and then sell the game in stores around the same time the movie comes out? Isn't that what corporations usually want? To make a cheap buck off of something, so they try to promote the movie in one of the stupidest, most ineffective ways possible? Oh, I'm hit! Oh, damn it, I'm hit! Oh, the venom is coursing through my veins! Oh, I've been felled by a wicked beast of destruction! You see, we can't treat them like equals! They're striped savages! Sucking is the only thing they know! It's their way! Oh, what angel of mercy will come forward to suck the poison from my buttocks? Ah!